Well, now to Kenya. The President William Ruto will hold a special cabinet meeting on Tuesday as heavy rains continue to lash the country. The government says the death toll from a month of flooding has reached at least 169. In the east, a ravine collapsed into the Tana River, causing it to burst its banks. Thousands of people are displaced, but there are many more missing. Rescuers are also searching for several people after a boat capsized, trying to cross a dam near the town of Garissa. Malcolm Webb reports now from the Masinga Dam.
It takes hours of searching the lethal muddy torrent to find each body. Those recovered are the latest victims in flooding that's killed dozens of people here in Kenya and hundreds across East Africa. It was too much for this woman when she discovered her cousin was one of them. On Sunday, people were trying to get to and from the town of Garissa by boat. The Tana River's burst its banks nearby and submerged the main road. This boat didn't make it. Several people are still missing. More than 20 have been rescued alive. They were taken to a nearby hospital.
Those who knew how to swim were luckier. I don't know how to swim, so I had to hold on to somebody who does. We were dragged by the water until we were stopped by a truck, where I waited until I was rescued.
This is the truck. It was the last vehicle to try and cross here on the road. It also didn't make it. The floods have cut off transport networks and displaced hundreds of thousands of people across the region. Weeks of torrential rainfall, much of it in the highlands of central Kenya, have flowed down to this hydroelectric dam, overfilling its reservoir.
The managers say the level's about 2 metres above what it's designed for. That's why all this water's gushing into the overflow channel, about 70 cubic metres a second, and all of it is flowing into the Tana River.
Downstream, it sweeps through the plains of eastern Kenya towards the Indian Ocean. Hundreds of thousands of people live in towns and villages along its banks. The government has said those at risk should move to higher ground.
We are having a cabinet meeting to be able to discuss on additional measures that my government is going to take to make sure that citizens who are victims of climate change, who today are suffering floods, they are suffering mudslides, are looked after.
The rain in the highlands is still filling the dams. There's more water on the way. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Masinga Dam, Kenya.
Well, let's go to Malcolm, whose location has, I think, changed because you are now in Madogo. And is this the location, Malcolm, where a boat capsized? There are a couple of casualties, but many more are missing. Tell us what's happening there.
That's right. This is the place where the accident happened. People were trying to cross here until the government stopped them. Boat crossings like this have now been banned. But this is the main road coming from Nairobi, Kenya's capital, which is about 350 kilometres away, and we're just a couple of kilometres short of the town of Garissa. This is one of 2 places where the swollen River Tana has cut through the road and made it impassable. Now, if we take a walk around here, we can just see quite how far this floodwater has extended. Now, this is apart from the destruction, of course, to the homes, and that we can see here, cutting off the transport routes is a major problem for people. A lot of people who are struggling to make an income, cut off from their livelihoods, cut off from their loved ones, which is why people are willing to take a risk and cross in a small boat like the one we saw in the story there. Now, it's from this area heading downstream towards the coast, towards the Indian Ocean, that the worst impact of the flooding is felt, because from here, going down the river, the terrain gets flatter and flatter. And also the communities living on the riverbank down here are poor rural communities, people keeping a few livestock and doing some farming on the floodplains of the river. And it's in this direction that we think the worst of the damage has been done.
And very important point you make there, Malcolm, about the effect of the floods on the infrastructure. People are not able to get to work, but also they're not able to get important supplies if supplies in the shops are running low or if people are panic buying.
Absolutely, and then this of course makes prices go up. Many things that people struggle to afford at the best of times are now getting more expensive. And then not to mention, of course, the food supplies for the many communities living further downstream along the riverbanks whose food supplies, their farms, the crops that they grow on the sides of the river, many of which will have been completely destroyed. And that's not just pushing up prices today, but that's food supplies for months ahead for those rural communities. So people are waiting to find out what kind of support they might get from the government. At the moment, the Kenya Red Cross has been very active in rescuing people who are stranded and providing some shelter for those who've been displaced. But the impact on people living downstream from here is going to be felt long after the waters have receded.
And in your report yesterday, really some extraordinary pictures of flooding that was heading downstream. So that affects communities that live all along the route of these rivers. And just to be clear about the impact of this, Malcolm, give us a sense of the numbers of people involved. And I mean, it's affected every part of life, right? From infrastructure to health, food, education.
We've seen the road cut off. We can take another look. If we take a step over here, I mean, this, is just one of several places where key infrastructure has been cut off. In other parts of the country, railways, power lines have been affected. Schools, the government has announced that which are due to open this week have been delayed for one further week, they said, because of the risk and the impact of the flooding. And certainly for those schools which are underwater, they'll need at least a week, of course, to see if the water recedes before there's any possibility then, of course, of them doing the required work to be able to reopen. But regarding the numbers which you asked about, at the moment, then we understand that the number of people who've died in the flooding here in Kenya in recent weeks is now over 150. But we were just speaking to a Red Cross worker over here who's trying to track or trying to rescue any survivors and recover bodies of those who perished in the accident that took place here. He said it's very difficult just to work out how many people are missing. He said they found the bodies of people who aren't on the list of missing persons. There are missing people who haven't been found. They found baggage from the boat of people who haven't been reported missing, baggage including identification documents. And of course, the communities that are missing these people are separated from each other by that. So it's difficult for them even to communicate. So it's very difficult, even in one location, one accident like this, it's very difficult for the emergency responders to know how many people are affected, let alone how many might be affected in those rural communities further down the river.
Well, thank you so much for your report, Malcolm Webb, there in Madogo. Let's head to Catherine Soy. She's in Navaisha, which is in central Kenya. And so, Catherine, Malcolm there just describing the situation in the northern part of the country. What can you tell us about the impact of the floods there?
Yes, the situation here is equally dire as well. We are in a school where the displaced are. They've been they've been receiving food and clothes and things like that. This is also a command center where all the activities are being coordinated. We've seen volunteers, the government workers, the Red Cross. The government has brought in heavy machineries like excavators to try and dig through the rubble and the sludge as well to try and recover the bodies that already are in this mud. We know that about 76 people are still missing, and right now we are going to talk to Felix Mayo. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
What are the needs right now?
At the moment, this is Ngeia Secondary School. We have actually been approved this as a camp that we host displaced persons. And the needs now is that people now need basic facilities to be able to just survive issues of mattresses, blankets, foodstuffs, including milk, We actually require now things like sanitary towels, pads, and stuff like that. And just to say that the government has really stood strongly with the people here in Mai Mahiu, Nakuru County. Thank you.
And, you know, we are talking about a very huge area that has been impacted, and you're part of the rescue and recovery mission. How is that going on the ground?
On the ground now, we actually just started the rescue and retrieval mission for the people we are still missing. We have a huge multi-sectoral team that is already now getting to the ground, being led by the Kenya Red Cross. I want to appreciate the support that we have already received from the various teams. And already we have received reports that there are bodies that have been identified just right down in the ground, where debris have already actually filled up that, and there is need for more effort to put in terms of retrieval and recovery of the bodies.
I mean, a lot of people yesterday were complaining that these recovery efforts were very slow. They were complaining about it. What was the problem then? I'm seeing a lot of activity now.
I can tell you for sure that the recovery efforts yesterday was quite difficult because of the situation, the way it was on the ground. There was a lot of mud around. The place is not accessible, and you just need to walk through the place. There was confusion even from the part of the locals here, because what has happened is quite a humongous thing that actually people are still trying to comprehend. But as a society, our role first was to actually provide psychosocial support, make sure that the people are just comprehending what has happened, just to move people to safer levels, safer grounds, and to make sure that the community here really give us information in terms of our tracing desk, where we have reports of missing persons. We actually also coordinate the treatment of persons who we have evacuated to the various hospitals around this place.
All right. Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
so
a lot of people who are here, people who've been displaced, say that they've lost everything, and they are just waiting to see if their loved ones will be found.
Thank you very much. From Naivasha in central Kenya, Catherine Soy reporting to us on the effect of devastating floods there in the country. Now, we've also been following.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.